Well, they woke me up at 11 again. It was a little bit later than 11 this time. Like 11:30 towards 12. As you can see, I still have my retainer in. Finished recording down my dream not too long ago. And here I am. I guess they don't want me to sleep. No, I understand that. Again, it's one of those times. It's the period where this happens, which I guess should be a good sign. But I have to actually go to work earlier than usual today. So again, I tried to get to bed earlier so that I could get a good night's rest. But truthfully, I was on my phone looking up stuff until about 10. So even still, I really didn't even get like more than an hour of sleep before I woke up. Yeah, I guess what I was, the word I was looking for to explain that influx was more like an activation. An activation. I feel like I'm being activated in capacities that I'm not even really completely conscious to. But even within these last few days, there have been drastic shifts that I've consciously made and consciously been making that I do feel is propelling this energy, this influx of energy, this activation. Yeah, my dream was weird. It was sort of kind of sad, which I'm a little confused about. Essentially, it seemed with a group of other people. I was gathered with other people, specifically Black people, at this public park. And I don't even really remember what we were doing there. I don't know if it was like a creative thing, but essentially, we were all gathered at this park, sort of networking, it almost seemed like. And, one by one or whatever, like, people were leaving. And it was just me and this one other girl. And she was super weird and eccentric. And I say that as a person who likes weird and eccentric. She was definitely missing some marbles, kind of weird and eccentric, but I was also kind of into it. So we were there, we were the last ones there, and we were sort of just there. And at some point, I guess there was like telepathic communication that she was going to meet up with her friends, and I was invited to tag along. So we are now in a restaurant, and it's 4 of us. We're sitting at a table that's really tucked away. It's definitely my vibe. Seems like a quaint restaurant, but we were there to get pizza. I know that. We were there to share a pizza. But you could tell that these 3 other girls were like real tight friends. Like they apparently had a habit of coming here and ordering this same exact pizza and doing this. So I felt, not in the group. I felt on the outskirts of their connection, and I didn't really try to insert myself like sometimes I would have tried to do in real life. I was just observing that they weren't really acknowledging me at all, and the eccentric girl who I guess invited me to tag along or whatever, again, she's just so in her own world that I wouldn't have even expected her to notice or, to take notice that I was feeling left out. So yeah, they know they have a specific pizza that they get, but we were still looking at the menus. There was something specific on the menu that I kept reading in my head as escargot, but that was absolutely not how it was spelled, even though escargot really isn't, it doesn't look like how it's spelled, but it was definitely not escargot, essentially. It started with like an EST and had like a TATA situation going on. It had a lot of A's. There was no escargot really, but I wasn't even sure how I was gonna afford to pay. So it was so I didn't even really know why I was looking at further things on the menu. I definitely wanted that mystery escatata to secretly be calamari, but I knew that it wasn't, or maybe I didn't, but I was hoping. Anyways, I was unsure about how I was even going to pay. Like, there was no communication towards me about how they split the bill, if I'm going to be expected to pay like a quarter, since there were four of us for the pizza or something like that. None of this was being conveyed to me. And I'm very much a person where I would like to know this beforehand before I decide to go with you guys somewhere. But yeah, so this was going on through my head. And they're just kikiing, chatting it up. The waitress guy comes. He takes the order for their specialty pizza. They get a specific pizza every time, And then the person who was talking, who was sitting to my right, weird eccentric girl that I came with from the park, was sitting directly in front of me at this table thing. Yeah, so she puts in her order. I take the liberty for some reason to ask the waitress guy what this estacada thing is. And he pretty much goes on to express that it's a drink. And I was like, oh, and I sort of made this like gross face, even though I wasn't really grossed out by it. I guess I consciously, like in my head, I was displaying it as if I didn't like it, but I was sort of glad that I had a reason not to want to get it because I didn't even know how I was going to afford it anyway. So yeah, they go, and then again, I'm just sort of on the outskirts of them hanging out. And then it just cuts. We didn't get to eat the pizza or anything, or maybe we did, and whatever. I don't know. The dream cuts, and I'm now back at the park alone, sitting on this wheelie chair, doing like a voice log, like in my phone. And I guess I was explaining what happened. Like, oh, they all caught an Uber together. And again, I wasn't aware that I was going to have to get an Uber. So here I am back at the park waiting for my Uber while they've all gone and, are now doing their own thing. So again, it was like the end of that experience where apparently, again, at the start, there was supposed to be this networking thing. That's what it seemed like with all the people gathered. And, it seemed like we were just exchanging, talking to this person, going to talking to this person, going to talk to this person. It seemed like it was supposed to be a networking event of some sort. And I ended the night feeling alone. I ended the night on my own. I was literally like watching the cars pass in the distance. And I don't know why there was this random wheelie chair in this park. It was literally on mulch. It was a children's playground type of park. Like literally like with the swings and everything. We were on the mulch networking. Like it wasn't even like in a field next to the children's playground. But anyways, so I'm sitting on this random wheelie chair that sat in the mulch talking to my phone about what's happening to me. And I woke up not really knowing how to feel about that, because I've become so accustomed to being all right in my own company. And it's been quite a while since I have like hung out with people, let alone like networked. Networking is very new to me. Like I'm the type of person who I would rather just be able to do everything on my own kind of thing. But networking is also important. I would like to be able to collaborate with other creative people. That is something that I'm not at all opposed to. And I'm definitely a team player. So yeah, I don't know if this is like a subconscious dream of like fears that may be in the back of my head or something like that. Especially with like the monetary, how am I even going to pay for this kind of thing? There wasn't anything that was like directly telling me in like that, dream thinking like, oh, I shouldn't have come, which is interesting Because in the past, if this was a real life situation, I feel like my brain would be like, why did you even come? You sort of knew this was going to happen. Why would you even do this kind of thing? So it was interesting that I didn't even get that thought in the dream. I was just feeling this like, I am not a part of this group. And I mean, I get it. I don't really know these people. I didn't even really know the weird eccentric girl. They all seemed like altish, and they were all also black women. But yeah, they all seemed on the alty side. They didn't seem like normal, I guess. I don't know. They seemed like me. Like, not typical, I guess. They just seemed alty, man. They seemed alty, they seemed quirky, you know? But yeah, I woke up sort of, not thrilled, because it's not often that I have a dream that, or I'm not gonna say it's not often, but not all of my dreams have this clear sort of positive or not so positive connotation. You notice the dreams that are like, oh, I really liked that one. That was really positive. I was really happy. I got a lot of good feelings from it. This one was not that. And, in the wake of like all this forward movement internally and externally with myself, having a dream like this is like, are you trying to signal me? Are you trying to signal something? Am I doing something wrong? Is there difficulties ahead, in terms of trying to connect with other people, which is definitely an area of not contention, but it's an area that could use work. Because again, I am not used to letting a lot of people in. Even though I want connection, I don't like having like quote unquote loose friends, where we're like loosely friends, sort of, Like I want the connection like the other three had. They were clearly friends. They clearly get together regularly. They clearly have a bond, It's not this like, wishy-washy, are we even really friends kind of thing. I don't know. Like, I don't want to just be there. That type of situation is something I definitely don't like. And no, I wouldn't consider those girls my friends. The situation proved itself to be that. We were not friends. They didn't know me, I didn't know them. So I didn't, I guess, expect them to like be all kiki with me. It would have been nice if somebody was privy to, hey, there's this new person here, there's this other person here, but I guess I can't expect that of people. But I think because I've been in that situation, I would be aware of that if it was flipped. If I was the one in the group who invited somebody along with me who is not regularly in the group. I don't know. I think I'm just ranting now. But yeah. Essentially, I'm not sure how to make friends, I guess. Truthfully, I want meaningful friendships, I don't want to just be friends with anybody just so they can fill and take time. I don't know. Maybe that's also part of my problem. Like, uh, I just want like a soul bond kind of friendship. I want it to I want something deep. I don't want something baseline, superficial, I want us to really connect. And I know that that sometimes takes time. I don't know, maybe those people didn't become friends overnight. Maybe they've known each other since childhood or whatever, and that's why their bond is so tight. That's wonderful, I'm not one to hold on to people. I moved around a lot growing up, so the option of having, oh, we've been friends since kindergarten was like just not really in the cards for me. Though I reconnected with one friend when I moved back to an area like a decade later or whatever. But even that didn't stick. And that's a whole nother story that I will not get into. But I don't know. I'm not desperate for people to stick around anymore. Again, I've grown very accustomed to being in my own company, but I think so much to the point where again, it's hard for me to like keep people around or to want to keep people around. Basically, I don't want somebody around who's just going to waste my time. And I don't mean to say it like that, but I don't know. I think it's important that we spend time with ourselves, and I have been spending literal years cultivating such security in myself where I am at peace on my own. I enjoy my own company, though I've sort of always been like that. But especially now, like I really am friends with myself. You know, it'd be good to know how to network and all that stuff. Yeah. And I don't know how my brain manages to get into fucking REM within an hour. Because I'm pretty sure I read something or I heard something about REM and it takes like 2 to 3 hours, supposedly. But apparently not, because I'm going into REM. Going into REM at exponential rates. So yeah, here I am. I have to, really start getting up around 4. Because, again, I'm going into work early. I feel like this has less of a flow than the previous one, which I'm not digging. Oh, that was my back. Don't mind the clothes. I'm trying not to be in complete darkness because, apparently you need good lighting. This is not at all good lighting, but it's gonna do because I don't want to turn on the big lights. My previous stream had to do with networking as well, but I couldn't really recall it in full detail. But that was one of the big key things is I was seeing like these lines, these light blue lines, and these people in a circle, and I was one of the people in the circle, and it was like when we were connecting with a specific person, the line would light up. But there was a bunch of people and they were, talking to whoever, connecting with the other person, and essentially it was like a circle. You had a link to everybody in this circle. Everybody had a link to everybody else. When you were focused and I guess communicating with one specific person of the circle, that line, that link between you and that person would light up. And I just kept seeing, okay, this line would light up, this line lighting up, this line lighting up. And it's just, I guess, depicting the connections between, when these two individuals are connecting, talking, communicating. There was no real words being said. It was just an intuitive understanding of this is what's going on, essentially. So in the beginning, I was seeing myself through first person. I'm just in the circle. There was no lines. But then at some point, I was getting this aerial view where it was just a little circle heads and I could see that everybody was connected, and when people were connecting, the two individuals, I could see the lines lighting up. Maybe I'll try and draw this or something, because I don't know if that explanation did it justice, but there's a clear pattern, there's a clear message of networking, which is sort of intimidating, but I understand that it can be necessary for a lot of creative endeavors, and maybe perhaps it will be important. I believe that it probably wouldn't be showing up in my dreams if it wasn't important in some capacity. Pretty sure my sister showed up in that dream as well, if that wasn't the dream before that. And she's been showing up in my dreams a lot too, which I'm not completely sure why. I should look into this. But yeah, there's a clear networking thing happening. So, yeah. I feel like this log was less satisfying than the other one. The other one went really well. It felt like it had a more like passionate message or something, something that you guys could take from it. I don't really know what to make of this. I said I wanted, to start doing this video log thing. And the fact that I woke up an hour after sleeping, I was like, oh my gosh, I should probably make another video right now. Because again, this is the time that this happens. Yeah, I'm clearly in some like transitionary period. I think it's cool that I can recognize these patterns now. It's like I have the handbook in how like I'm not gonna say in how life works, but sort of how the game of being a soul in a human body works. And that is what I believe. If you haven't picked up on all the esoteric stuff yet, I definitely do believe that we are souls having a human experience, not the other way around. We're here for a reason. We're here to learn things. We're here to grow. And as we grow and evolve as people, we grow and evolve as a soul. That is why we choose to come here. We don't choose to come here to stay fucking stagnant. The part of the game is that we forget why we come here. The whole journey is coming back to the remembrance, in a sense, you know? Like, the potential for human growth is exponential. There really is no, like, end point. Like, okay, you reach this and you're done. You completed everything there is to complete as a human being. There's always something else. There's always something else you can improve. There's always another layer that you can grow, that you can expand upon. And I think that is why the human experience is so magnificent. But we really haven't been taking, I mean, like, advantage of that, you know, and I think also being a human is a very difficult and hard experience. It's not like the fucking Sims where you're aware that you're the person playing the character. In this, we actually believe that we are the Sim. There's no distinction. I think the Sims are onto something. I think they know. Anyways, so instead of us being the conscious creator, knowing that we're the conscious creator of the Sim and playing life in that sense with that knowing, we come here not knowing that we created our Sim and stuff like that. And we're sort of programmed since birth. So, you know, again, the forgetting is part of the journey. The forgetting is part of it. Some people come in with the remembering, and I think that's also part of their journey. It's part of what they signed up to come here for. I don't believe we just show up here one day and that's it. I don't know. Maybe some of us are just dropped here and, you know, that would suck. But I truly do believe that for the most part, we choose what we come here to learn. We choose why we come here. And I think a lot of us are missing the mission kind of thing. I don't know. I don't want to say that in case that's wrong, but I don't know. You know, you look at the state of the world and it's like, if people knew that we came here for a reason, do you really think that they would be acting this way? That they would do this with their lives kind of thing? And I think, actually, I don't know if I should say this on camera. I'll save that thought for another video or something, because I think that actually might be dangerous territory. But if nothing else, I believe that I came here for a reason. I personally subscribe to the belief that we came here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. And that reason is very much linked to why I'm sitting here talking to the camera. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say a snippet and I'm gonna leave it at that for now. I do believe that the higher ups have some understanding of how this works. And that's how they've been able to keep a lot of people enslaved. To consciously curate ways to keep people from remembering that truth. That we have a lot more power than meets the eye. That we're here for much larger purposes than to just work and then die, essentially. There's such a vastness that we can experience as a human being that has been so incredibly cut off, and it's ridiculous. The ways in which people can connect, the ways in which people can express, the depth that you can find within yourself. It's like so many people are just living on the surface. And I mean, today more than ever, a lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are discovering that there's more than just the surface. There's so much beyond just the surface. And I think, yeah, I do think in a way, maybe I've had an advantage in that sense. Because I do feel like I came in with an understanding at some level, even if it wasn't I wasn't consciously aware of it, that there's something more. I actually remember being a young child. I don't even really remember what I was doing. I think I was just standing there. I was standing outside. I don't even know if this was a dream, but recalling it's weird. But I remember I was just standing there and I had this random thought. I'm here for something. Something along that lines. I'm here for a reason. Yes, I think that's what it was. I'm here for a reason. That was it. And I don't think I really thought too much deeper about it, but I think, again, that was like an intuitive sort of tap on the window from my soul or whatnot. Like, hey, I know you're still a kid and you're going to go through all this programming and stuff, but just a little seed for you to come back to lead you back home. And I feel like I learned everything I was supposed to learn from the programming. The person that I am now, I've learned everything that I was supposed to learn. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Respectfully. But I do believe and trust that I have taken everything that happened before and I've extracted what I was supposed to get from it. All the self-hatred, the self-loathing, the loneliness, the isolation, the depression, the etc., 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 etc. The relationships I've had, some of the friendships that I've had. I was able to learn something from every single experience. Every single experience. There's a lot which I've learned. And I've matured a lot in many ways. And this is only the beginning. If I could put me then and me now side by side and just show you a list of the differences, it's exponential. And this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning. This is just me climbing out of the hole, I started off at the bottom of this fucking well. And self-hatred and self-pity and all that stuff. And, oh, woe is me and my victim mentality. Which was slightly warranted and granted in instances. But really wasn't going to help me in the long run, So I did all that climbing out the hole. And now I'm climbing up the staircase, And I feel like I was at the bottom layer of the staircase and my legs are a little bit wobbly because I've been in this fucking hole and I haven't really been able to stretch and learn how to walk, have the freedom to walk around. These stairs don't have railings. So I there wasn't really much support, I guess. Physically, we'll say, in the physical realm. But yeah, I think I'm a pretty good, decent way up these stairs though. And I've gotten used to it, but, as you climb stairs, you get higher. And with a higher level and no railings, you really got to trust yourself. You got to trust yourself as you're taking these steps. It's almost like, it's not like a don't look down, but you're aware that if you fall from here, it's really going to hurt. But I have trust in myself that I've built those muscles in my legs now. I've built that capacity to climb these stairs with or without railings. And if I have to, I will crawl. My apologies. My memory is filling up, so I'm going to have to wrap it up right when we were getting into something. But yeah, I really do trust that. And maybe this is just the first staircase. You know, you've exited the hole, we're going up the stairs, and at the top of the stairs, I don't really see a doorway, but it's like a portal. Yeah, I feel like it's not just like another staircase and another staircase, another staircase. It's like a portal, and then there's somehow something beyond that. What I see in my head, truthfully, in this vision, because this is not a vision that's coming up as I'm speaking. This is a visual that has been in my head for a while. Symbolic, coming out of the hole, going up the stairs towards this portal thing. When I enter that portal, I'm in a vast darkness, but I'm bright. I'm bright. I'm almost lighting up the space. And I start to see lights turn on all around me. Almost like, you know, when you look up at the sky and you notice one star and then you notice another and then you notice another and you notice another. And I think part of why I am here is to help people remember. That is what I feel I'm here to do. Part of it. Through many mediums, whatever mediums I want to do it through. But a big part of it is to help people remember their light. Help people remember that they're here for a reason. That there's more. There's so much within them that's worth getting to know and sharing so that other people can remember. And that other people can remember. And then we'll all just be these big, giant light beams filling the earth with light. This world has been in an imbalance. There's been more darkness than light. Well, the scales must rebalance. That's just the nature of the universe, and this is the time. This is the time. And there's nothing that's going to stop that. It doesn't matter what, the news says. It does not matter. That is just the way. The scales must balance out, and they will by one means or another. It's always darkest before the dawn. Things have to dismantle. So if things are really going to shit, it's time to dismantle. Maybe that's the sign. And we see it all the time. How so many people are getting exposed. All the things that were going unseen are being brought to the light. They're being brought to the light. This is the time. And the more that people start remembering, that's the key. The more that people start remembering, the less power that they have. They can only try and convince you that you have no power. They can only try and convince you. As long as you believe it, then yes, they will have power over you. Wow. Did not expect that to lead here, but here we are. This was what we were waiting for. So I hope I can leave that with you. Take it if it resonates. I'm not here to convince you. You have your own brain, your own feelings, your own life to live. That will be your experience. You choose. You choose. You choose. Isn't that wonderful? Free will. You get to choose. This is what I consider truth. This is what I believe. This is what I've found to be truth in my own personal experiences. My only goal is to remind you that your belief in yourself is key. That's it. Your belief in yourself is key. It doesn't matter if anybody else believes. It does not matter if anybody else believes. It's your belief in yourself. So don't wait for them. Don't rely on them. All right. I guess I'll leave it there. I don't want the camera to cop out again, before I get to a point. I think this was more than enough. Yeah. This is more than enough. So, it's probably like 1 to 2 a.m. I probably won't be able to get back to sleep, but at least we got this out of it. I think this was a powerful one. I still liked the first one better, but this is a good one. This is a good one. lots of good information. I really do hope that you were able to take something from this. It's not just a session of me spewing. I do want you to be able to take something of value from this. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope you got a full 8 hours of sleep and or experienced spiritual epiphanies during your bouts of insomnia. If nothing else, I hope you're at peace right now, even just for a moment. I shall see you in the next video diary, which will probably be tomorrow. Bye.